First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
A new burn simulator building gives Florida firefighters more realistic training. We'll take you inside the facility in Marion County.
And investigators have more questions than answers after finding a man dead along Williston Road.
Tonight, one University of Florida organization helping those displaced by the turmoil in Syria.
And a local Gainesville activist is trying to pick up the pieces of what's left of his home.
Coming up on First at 5, the Hippodrome Theater faces a massive budget cut issue.
And sinkholes continue to form around the Central Florida neighborhood.
That's our top story.
Deputies spent the morning searching the area of a Southwest Williston Road after responding to reports of gunshots. That's our top story. I'm Daniela Garrido.
And I'm Alexis Pastor. The victim was just identified this afternoon. WUFT's David Jones brings us the latest on the investigation.
You can actually still see the blood stain on the ground. This is where Alachua County Sheriff's deputies say they found a man shot to death last night. That man has now been identified as 24-year-old Devontae Jenkins from Citra.
We don't know if that is a single killer or multiple killers that are responsible for Devontae's death. That part is an active part of our investigation.
Before midnight Thursday, deputies were called to the sound of gunshots near this access road off Southwest Williston Road. Investigators are still searching for a motive and suspects. People who work nearby are on edge.
It's actually really scary because I get here early in the morning when it's still really dark, and we have a wooded area in the back there, and you know, you kind of worry about your safety and security.
For the folks that know Devontae or his friends or his associates, who was mad at Devontae? Who would want to do this to his mother's son? There's somebody out there who knows the answer to that question, can help us resolve this case for the family.
And if you have any information that could help investigators in this case, you're encouraged to contact the Alachua County Combined Communications Center at 352-955-1818. For now, reporting on the southwest side of Gainesville, David Jones, WUFT News.
Again, if you have information on this shooting but want to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers. You can also go online to stopcrime.tv.
A Gainesville man is facing 3 counts of attempted murder in connection to a March 31st shooting. Police say Dana Grant is suspected of firing 13 rounds at 3 people inside a car at a local apartment complex. Grant was arrested yesterday after a witness identified him as the shooter. He also faces a charge of suspicion of firing into a car. The motive for the shooting is still unknown. Grant is being held at the Alachua County Jail on a $1.6 million bond.
Oklahoma teachers packed the Capitol for the 5th consecutive day as part of a walkout to demand more funding for education. WUFT's Mary Grace Scully spoke with a UF grad who is now a teacher in Oklahoma City and participating in the walkout.
I spoke with Avery Smith, who is now a 9th grade math teacher at a low-income school in Oklahoma City. He's taking the strike a step further with a personal hunger strike until the walkout ends.
I was just looking for a way that I could give a little bit more of what I had. And after a little bit of thought, I realized, I can pray and I can fast. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so that was 5 days ago.
Avery Smith, a 23-year-old who recently graduated from UF, is participating in a walkout like hundreds of other Oklahoma teachers.
I didn't expect it to be this bad, and I certainly didn't expect there to be a strike going on the first year that I moved to Oklahoma to be a teacher.
While in Gainesville, Avery volunteered within the school district, serving on the board of Project Makeover, a group that renovates elementary schools.
I think it's very evident that he believes that passionately because he was involved in it here at college and took it a step further and wanted to be a teacher and influence students' lives in that way after college as well.
The Oklahoma strike is ongoing, despite a new raise for teachers, in order to get more funding for school resources.
Some people talk about having textbooks that are 30 years old. I don't have textbooks in my classroom.
Avery says all of his students qualify for free or reduced lunch. Florida experienced a similar strike 50 years ago.
Working conditions and pay was so bad in the state of Florida that over 10,000 teachers across the entire state walked out of their jobs. Schools were shut down.
The Florida Teachers Union formed as a result, which is why Florida teachers are now barred from striking.
Strike is the last thing you want to do. It's really when you're at desperation.
But until a resolution is found in Oklahoma, Avery says he will stick to only water and Gatorade.
At the end of the day, there's been so much neglect in Oklahoma in schools. There's been so little funding that any small setback, any short-term difficulty that our communities are facing are 100% offset by the benefits that we're going to reap.
Oklahoma lawmakers are scrambling to look at different tax ideas that would cover putting more millions into education. They've already boosted taxes on cigarettes and oil production to pay for the teacher raises. Mary Grace Scully, WUFT News.
The stock market dropped sharply today. The Dow lost 300-some points this morning on tariff fears, then another 300 this afternoon after a weak jobs report. Job growth in the U.S. is slowing down. The Labor Department reports only 103,000 new jobs were added in March. Unless it's revised upward, that's just 54% of the predicted 193,000 jobs. Unemployment is holding at 4.1% for the 6th month in a row.
UF's Food for Fines program came to an end this afternoon. The program allowed students, faculty, and others to pay for their parking citations with food donations all week. WUFT's Abby Murphy joins us live from Transportation and Parking Services. Abby, what is the turnout looking like?
Daniela, Transportation and Parking Services says they never expected this big of a turnout. I want you to picture this can and multiply it by 10,000. Well, you don't have to, because right now I'm in the holding room for the Food for Fines initiative. People have been lining up all week to have 1, 2, or even 13 fines wiped off their plate. UF Transportation and Parking Services says they've got as much as 10,000 donations, taking care of about 2,000 citations. That's more than $78,000 in fines that normally would have gone to student parking services. Transportation and Parking Services says they're thinking about doing the Food for Fines initiative again, but have no set plans to do so right now. Live at the Transportation and Parking Services at the University of Florida, Abby Murphy, WUFT News.
Thank you, Abby. I'm Meredith Sheldon.
And I'm Henry Coburn. WUFT's Paige Scheringer went to the villages today to take a closer look at some of the new sinkholes that have appeared.
Yes, these new sinkholes started showing up yesterday. Marion County officials have already evacuated 2 homes, and the community is unsure about how many more will appear.
Opened up due to the rain yesterday in the villages of Marion County. Currently, there are 3 visible sinkholes and a 4th underneath the lake that adjoins 2 properties.
The second sinkhole for the Newmans has just appeared in the front yard last night.
Authorities think the sinkhole in the lake could be a possible cause for the other sinkholes on the property. 2 families have been evacuated after the first sinkhole developed in February of this year. The homes have been left vacant since the sinkhole occurred.
At this point in time, with this new activity, we've seen a lot of damages out towards the road this time around, away from the house.
Surrounding neighbors are very concerned about their homes and safety.
You know, there's no precaution. When a sinkhole happens, it just happens. You know, there's no, like, you think a sinkhole is going to happen. If you thought it, you wouldn't move here.
There have been no further evacuations, and it is currently being investigated by authorities.
Going to have to really monitor and keep an eye on, a very close eye on, because we certainly don't want anybody else to be affected. However, this is kind of something that nature gives us that we have to roll with the punches with.
Marion County officials said it could be months until the residents move back into their homes.
Today, Governor Rick Scott announced Florida's crime rate is at a 47-year low. Last year's tracking of the most serious crimes, which were reported to the FBI, saw the overall rate fall by 4.5%. Marion County bucked the trend with an increase of 4%, but crime in Alachua County was down nearly 2%. The governor says the state's new budget will target more than $5 billion on public safety.
Starting in July, state funding for cultural fairs will drop 80% with the new budget. It's a shock for the State Theater in Gainesville, but as WFT's Kate Venezio explains, the Gainesville Landmark plans to keep its doors open.
Funding for the arts now makes up far less than 1% of the Florida state budget. About 500 cultural organizations will be impacted statewide. The Hippodrome is just one example, but to many Gainesville residents, the Hip represents more than a theater.
So I was actually born and raised in Gainesville. I'm 26 years old, so I've been here my whole life, and I think I saw my first play at the Hippodrome when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
The Hippodrome Theater has been here for 45 years, and it is a staple in the heart of downtown Gainesville. Last year, the HIP received $48,000 from the state. This year, they will get less than $10,000. Managing Director Jessica Huroff says the HIP doesn't have a plan yet, but it will probably keep ticket prices the same.
This year, we were literally speechless. We had no kind of foresight that this would happen, and we're figuring out each day how we'll be working within our means and keeping the Hippodrome financially sound.
For years, the Hippodrome has also provided art education for all ages, including classes, camps, and workshops. And they have no intentions of closing their doors anytime soon. Kate Venezio, WUFT News.
Apart from community fundraising, the theater may explore creative ways to save money. And for those concerned with the big picture, the state of Florida is now ranked 48th in the nation for the funding of the arts.
Gainesville Regional Utilities is introducing an automatic summer extension program. Customers will have an extra 7 days after the usual 7-day grace period to pay their higher than normal electric bills in the summer months. The program will automatically apply the extension instead of requiring customers to call in a request. The change will run from June 1st through September 30th.
An elementary school in Gainesville unveiled a new mural today featuring Harriet Tubman and Michelle Obama.
Students and local artists teamed up to create portraits as permanent addition to Williams Elementary. WUFT's Raymond Troncoso
I went to Williams today to watch the kids. To watch the kids add their finishing touches to the school. Originally planned a much smaller project, but when it comes to inspiring the next generation, you may as well go big or go home.
Joseph Williams Elementary is on the rise. After 5 years of failing grades, the East Gainesville school improved dramatically last year, jumping 2 whole letter grades. As part of new programs to revitalize the school, the murals emphasized what students learned during Black History Month and gave them a chance to have a little fun.
They love it, just the fact that they get to be a part of something that's created and that will be permanent here at their school.
A permanent addition that tells the story of hard work and progress.
2 very different women in different times with different power in their hands, and kind of the story that tells of them facing each other in front of this quilt, that the kids all were a little piece to a big picture.
Here at Williams Elementary School, students and teachers have made huge strides in improving grades and test scores. The mural, they say, is just another part of getting kids involved and making them proud of their achievements. The artwork will serve as a reminder to students who added handprints and all the students who come after what they can achieve.
Our expectations for the students here at Williams Elementary are always going to be high. And so I would say, yes, if we can even show models of that, of yes, let's always reach expectations and then continue to exceed, yes.
After students doubled achievement scores in language arts and math and tripled achievement scores in science last year, the school hopes the mural will serve as a reminder of what's possible. Reporting from the newsroom, Raymond Troncoso, WUFT News.
Thank you, Raymond.